Good Wednesday morning to everybody. Thanks for logging on to BAMWX.com. For those of you that are checking out today's forecast, I have a feeling the next couple days are going to get kind of fun, and I'm going to tell you why here based on some of the overnight trends from the European model. They were pretty fun to watch, and I'm gonna get right into it. This is precipitation the next 5 days. Again, a very wet pattern here. You can see favored across the central U.S., the desert Southwest, and then in the 5 to 10. As a trough swings through, cold air settles in into the east. It's pretty dry for the most part. A nice rainstorm possible there in central Texas. Continuing to rain in the desert Southwest. Again, a very welcomed sign. That's from one extreme to the other, really. And you go and you look at the precipitation continuing there really the next couple of weeks. So here's my reasoning for the eastern U.S. getting so warm. Let me show you this real quick. This is really the warmest period here, where we look at these anomalies to really be the most significant. It's in that 8.5 to 13.5 day time frame. It's the 5th through the 10th of December, and I think it's warm in there for that time frame. 5 to 7 days, it's going to get really warm, and the reason for that is this western moving typhoon. Now again, there are a couple of members that try to bring it north, and that may impact the model runs if that can happen. But a lot of the idea here is continuing it to go west. Now, what that's going to mean is that's naturally, guys, that's going to pump up the heights here in the Western Pacific. That's going to teleconnect to the eastern ridge that we're seeing. I just believe that's how that's going to go, and I believe that's why the model's getting so warm. And so we note that here. There's no doubt about that. And as you get out into that 10 to 15 day, now you're out through the 11th. So it's like the 6th through the 11th of December, if you will. However, I want to show you this because things start to change a little bit here. Let me get to my 850s real quick. Things start to change quite a bit as we go forward. We see the big warmth move in. This is the overnight EPS. And watch what starts to happen here by the 10th. And then into the 11th of December. All right, we start to see this trough work back in. And I want to talk about this going forward because what's remarkable about this is that we look at analog years where there's some suggestions of a very brief and weak phase 3 of the MJO. All right, and the reason I want to bring this up is because our top analog right now into the extended is 1993, into the week 3 and 4 time frame, and then into week 5. 1993 had a very weak MJO event. It was very sloppy and weak, but it did manage to get into phase 3. The model keeps doing it. Now this is here's the 24 through the 26 of the European. Note what keeps happening. All 3 days, day 15 still is in phase 2, right? You see that what I'm saying here? Okay, so you continue to see that we're struggling really to get out of phase 1 and 2 here, just looking at the trend of the model. However, because we're going to factor in the blocking, 1993 becomes relevant because of the blocking associated with, even if we got into the weak phase 3 of the MJO. Let's just say that happened. Here's what happened in 93. 93, you did one of these. Okay? And let's say that's a possibility. We look at now again, this would be very brief. This is the weekly from last week. Here's the updated weekly. Look what's happening. It is largely avoiding it. This would be a very weak, not a big deal. But you see what the model's doing. It is backing off, and it is struggling immensely with that, okay? However, because of the similarities I'm seeing in 93, it does at least spark my interest. Now, here's a look at the GFS, the overnight run, and again, here's what I want you to watch. I want you to watch right here, okay? This is the latest run of the GEFS, and again, we're looking for phase 3 of EPs. Look at the run just 24 hours ago. Oh, that was wrong. Let's go back. Here's the run just 24 hours ago. Here's the latest. Look how far east it was 24 hours ago. Look at the latest. Okay, so it's the data is seeing the wall. Be that as it may, the data is seeing the wall, and we play devil's advocate, and we get a weak phase 3 for a time. We look at our low solar, we look at our descending QBO years, we look at our analogs in general, and 93 is not a bad analog, guys. We had the moderation, and then it got cold, right when we think it's going to get cold. So I can't fully write out 93. Now, let's talk about what happened on the overnight run of the European model. Okay? This is the trend, the change from the previous run. This is a remarkable trend towards a negative AO and a negative NAO. All right? Going back to that. And I've talked about the negative North American mountain torque. I've talked about that, and you can see what I'm talking about here. The general blues across North America is negative mountain torque when we're looking at pressure anomalies. That largely favors blocking, the negative NAO. And getting out here into the extended, you're continuing to see this negative North American mountain torque. It favors the blocking. So I want to show you what happened last night with these trends. Here's the NAO and what happened with it. Zoom in a little bit. The latest run is the big white dots. Note how it trended less positive and went right back towards this. Okay, that's the NAO. Here's the Arctic oscillation. It went negative. Because of what's going on in the stratosphere, it is forcing a negative Arctic oscillation because of what's going on in the upper levels into the wave 2 pattern, into the higher latitudes, is forcing the polar vortex back over, and it's going to favor higher surface pressure, and you're going to get a negative Arctic oscillation out of this. Also, look at the PNA. Look at the trends towards positive here. Okay? We're seeing significant adjustments. This here really gets my attention. The AO really gets my attention. That's significant in the trend. So today's EPS run is going to be key, because I think what can happen is that we get that moderation from, say, the 6th to the 11th, give or take. But I think by the 11th through the 13th of December, the colder risks are back. Now, let me give you my reasoning. Here's my analog. Here's 93. All right, here's the 1st through the 10th. You can see the ridge in the east. You can see the lack of blocking here. And then you go to the 11th to the 24th, and you start to see the pattern readjusting here. Okay? You start to see this taking shape here into the south, the eastern U.S. cold, the southeast trough working in, like I talked about yesterday with our MJO thoughts in the AAM. You have to watch all these videos or you won't stay up to date with my thoughts. Then here's where we get into the back half of December. Note this big positive working in. Note the blocking working in here into Greenland. And look at the big trough working in. Note the trough out here in the North Pacific here too as well. Now, look at the day 15 forecast from the European. I want to point out a few features. There's your trough working in here, blocking working in over the top like this. All right, note this feature out here. All right, we go back. Very similar, okay? See the similarities? Even this trough feature over here is wave number 4 pattern. It's a wave 4 pattern is what we call this. All right, so this is by the 11th of December, this look here. So with all that being said, I'm very interested in today's 12Z EPS. I think the GEFS has lost its marbles for now, and it may come back. But I'm very interested in the EPS today. If that trend can continue, this mild spell, it is going to get mild. There's no question about it. 7th through the 11th is my call on that. And I think the 11th through the 13th, these cold risks are coming back. Here's our weeks 3 and 4. A lot of 93 in here. 95 as well. Okay? Big storms, too. Big winter storms in these years as well. This is the week 3 and 4. We're a 415 HDD. The normal is a 384 or a 400. Last year we were a 342. Last year we were flat out, all get out mild. All right? So, I believe this to be the possibility Now, if we look at our I want to pull in one other graphic here real quick I have for my desktop, and I want to show you kind of my thought process on the HDDs. Holy moly. So my thought process on the HDDs is, as we progress, okay, this is the 11th of December. Note I have the 11th below. The red line is the BAM forecast. I have us getting above 10 and 30-year normals, above 10-year normals by the 13th. And then finally above the 10 and 30-year by the 15th to the 16th. Then you see my gradual increase in my GWHDD outlook. All right? And I'm not alone up here. I've got model data up here to support me. I'm not out, even the EPS is above 10 and 30-year averages here. So very important runs coming up, but that's my methodology, that's my thinking in the HDD data. And how I can see this pattern transitioning from the 11th to the 15th to a step-up process of colder. All right, this is our December outlook. This is the analog idea. Where did my analog go? I must have lost it. Nope, I don't have it. I think I took it off. My analog was 95 and 93. Hang on. Here's 95 and 93 combined for a number of multiple number of reasons. All right, so here's our December forecast. 93 was an 884, I believe. 95 was a 934, I believe, and on HDDs. We're a 908 right now. Here's my thought process as I issue my final December forecast on Friday. I think in here's probably going to get warmer. All right? It may even come a little bit further east. I don't know for sure. I think the belows are going to be readjusted into something like this probably, and be below normal in here, and then a much below normal possibly somewhere in here. Right now, my thought process is still, I think we're in HDDs. My thought process is an 885 to a 905 for December. I don't have a final number yet. I will Friday when I get more data. That's the December final adjustment in my head as of this morning. That's all I have for today. I hope you guys have a fantastic Thanksgiving, safe travels, and I will keep you posted. If I see if this EPS does what I think it can do, I'll keep you posted. And on my MJO stance, if I'm half right, half wrong, we get into a very weak, subdual, very brief MJO 3 or 4, 93 is a good match to that. Even if we don't, 93 and 95 are still good analogs, just looking at the bigger picture. If you have questions, let us know. Happy Thanksgiving. Chat soon.